We're recording.
Okay, so Board of Health meeting, Monday, September.
Thursday. It's Thursday, October 7th.
Thursday, October 7th, whereby then, 7 PM, South of Town Hall. Present at the meeting is Tammy Spencer, Health Director, Sue Braska, Jean Nielsen, Mackenzie Kane, and Jessica Pelly. Going to, according to the agenda, we're going to review the previous meeting minutes. Which ones do we have in front of us?
You have 819 and then you have 923.
The old ones, these are the ones that she fixed and she emailed to us. And that's the sign page for those,
For this
for
one?
these.
That's September 9th.
These 3 pages are 819. And this one is 19. So these are the ones that. Okay, and we tabled them, so they have to be motioned and voted. Okay. Jess, maybe just a little explanation of what the test kits are for.
Okay.
I can give you a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
So that's my corrections on that one.
I don't think Moulton is the chair of the select board. I think Mr. Didi is. I think Moulton is the clerk.
Do you know when that change happened? Because I wonder,
Every year they rotate.
so in the spring?
It's in the, after the town meeting in May.
Yeah, May.
Then they
Should check the
rotate.
past minutes because just in case.
So that we know how to go back, I'll ask him.
He's
on the meeting. Well, I'm gonna ask Joe Didi how long he's been chair. Oh. Since he just left here.
Okay.
Do you have a sign off page for September 23rd?
Yep, Tammy should have it with hers, I think. The sign.
Does anyone need more time?
So for those minutes, anything other than expanding on what the Binex now casket is?
You want to write down? What it is?
Yeah, I would want me to just, what? Like pull up like a longer blurb or
Just a sentence, what it is.
Rapid COVID testing, that's all it needs to be said, or they can just Google it.
I'll be
Okay,
in tomorrow, so
so then just put which is rapid. COVID test.
Oh, Amy and Tim is right, something.
No, I was listening to Mackenzie.
put them into action yesterday.
Hmm?
We were able to put those into action yesterday.
oh,
10 minutes after they arrived.
no, sir.
Okay, just those little tiny minor things.
So make a motion to accept the minutes of August 19th, 2021. Based on the corrections that were made.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
On Zoom meeting, it has to be a roll call vote.
Pardon me?
It has to be a roll call vote if you have a Zoom meeting. So in other words, you have to individually voice your vote.
Okay. So Sue in favor.
Jean,
Mackenzie,
Okay, that was
so
August,
specifically roll call.
that was August 19th.
Mhm.
We have a motion to accept the September 23rd minutes as corrected.
second that motion.
She didn't make it, she asked for it.
Oh, what did you say? Oh, you want me to make it?
She asked for a
motion.
vote, a motion.
So what do I say? I don't,
Do you want a motion to accept them?
Yeah.
That's all you say.
oh, I said I second that. Isn't that not what I'm
There, you
supposed
just
to say?
say, I make the motion to.
You-
approve the minutes as
She
amended.
didn't make the motion, she asked for a
Oh, I
motion.
see. All right.
So
Okay.
you make me,
I'll
you
make
say
the
I,
motion, yeah,
right,
to accept the minutes.
and then I'll second it.
Got it.
Okay, Sue, yes.
Then the roll
All
call
in
vote
favor?
is
Sue, yes.
Jean, yes.
Mackenzie, yes.
Yes.
So
That's the difference between hybrid and an in-person or
the
Zoom. and
sign
an
off page
in-person.
I gave you, just pass it down.
I only got one back.
Jeff.
I got August 18th.
Yeah, but we need that one.
Okay, public comment that is, you know, Andrea's going to talk about, that's not on the agenda. Go ahead, Andrea.
I actually have nothing to say tonight. In view of the town's last few months, I just want to step up my own civic involvement. And this is the board that intersects with a lot of my interests. So I'm here to keep you company and keep myself from snacking after dinner.
Good for you.
Okay,
But while you're here, we were looking up this Pesticide Protection Act.
Thank you.
However, all we found was the amendments. What, we weren't able to find the act itself.
Okay, I'll look for it and I will send it.
okay, just as another matter of protocol,
Oh,
because of,
Andrea
This.
Bugsy, 77 Tannery Road.
okay,
yeah, you have to announce your name and your address.
all right. So that was it, because we looked into it and we looked into where they're using the glyphosate in town. Did I pronounce that right? But we haven't been able to actually get the act, just the amendment. So you'll get that. Okay, good. Anything else, Peter, Doug? Any comments on it now?
Nothing for me.
Peter, is your employer the Westfield Evening News or is it Reminder Publications?
So the Westfield News is the paper I write for, but the employer is the Reminder.
Okay, so we
Yep.
can just leave Westfield News then on the minutes. Okay.
Yeah, that would be accurate. Yeah.
Okay,
Doug, do you have anything to say that's not in the agenda?
I just wanted to thank you for giving out a chance to try out the hybrid Zoom format for your meeting. Much appreciated. And I hope it goes well. And if I can allow to say hi to Andrea Bugby, I haven't seen her in a while. Nice lady.
She waved to you.
Very good.
Did you see her?
Andrea, would you mind saying a few words? Because then we can see how this owl works. The owl should direct itself to Andrea once you start speaking. So would you mind? No,
Just
just where
talk
you are.
again.
Just talk. Say,
Say who you are again or whatever.
Andrea Bugby, 77 Tannery Road. I would also just like to point out that glyphosate is not necessarily the best thing for your town employees also, just another consideration.
yeah, see, the owl should have picked you up in your voice. Doug, it didn't.
She's got to be a little more direct, that's all. Because it is a kind of a large room.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have to speak louder.
And I would like to say, Doug Moglen, please say hello to your wife, Mary.
I shall. We're actually going to take a trip out to see Rebecca this weekend in Pittsburgh.
Good, great.
So-
And now the screen split for you. There you go.
Right.
Okay, so now we can
Right.
see her.
Be quiet, okay? Thank you for speaking up.
Okay. Tammy,
Yes, guys.
or who else knows about this?
Oh, everybody.
Apparently now, yes.
Okay,
I was told about it at a meeting last night.
okay, you were told.
Personally, I think I only told 2 people outside of this group, so. Carl and Joe Didi.
Now the whole town knows.
Mhm.
Okay, which is fine. Okay, so,
But I was able to actually find, remember we were looking for it all those months ago when we were looking at the dates, the original job description for this position. I made a copy and I sent you guys one. I would probably add to it something about the maybe the addition of the shared service public health nursing program into the job description. I mean, I can put that together to change that.
is that the only thing?
I would say,
You just keep the salary the same for now.
The salary can be negotiated.
and so I've been trying to think of, things that might help and ease any type of transition period. I've been speaking with the health director for Westfield because we do utilize shared services for what we have in the past building department. And if you guys are amenable to it, you know, you said you could talk to me about, so if there isn't, if there is a period where we don't have coverage, they could help provide that coverage for us.
Who is they? Who are they?
The Westfield Health Department. But we'd have to have a discussion, but I said, I was, you know, I asked them if I could bring it up at this meeting, that we would talk.
And do we pay them?
We would have to, you know, a consultant. And outside of, you know, a complaint, probably the most would be for the septic stuff that we would have to cover for, the things like repairs and things that have to absolutely be done.
So your last day is what day?
November 4th.
November?
It's 30 days from contract.
Oh, okay. I thought it
The
was
next
2 weeks.
contract, 60 days.
Um,
But anybody can break it, say 30, you know, in 2 weeks. Okay, so do you want to add,
Certainly not my intention.
do you want to add the part about the nurse? Um,
So just to clarify, we can hire a consultant from Westfield Public Health's department to do anything in the meantime, transition such as like septics. So at least there is somebody to cover these tasks. Yeah,
We'd have to come to an agreement with that.
with that, okay. But he is open to that.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to approach Tom Fitzgerald
I second that one.
and see if he would be willing to fill in.
At least on an intern part-time basis.
Yeah, until to fill in for those things that definitely have to be addressed until we find somebody else. McKinsey, I don't think you've ever met Tom.
No, I don't.
He was
know
a
what
previous
she
health
is.
inspector for many years. Before that, he was a consultant for the board.
Yeah, that's great. If there's somebody who can take on responsibility, I'm all for that.
So
If he would be willing to do it.
I think he is.
Good.
Yeah. What he would charge, I don't know, but I guess it doesn't really matter because we need somebody.
And I haven't tapped the consultant line item at all this year.
Right, but what do we have consultant, 1,000? We need more than that. How many septic plans are out there?
Well, I guess what you're assuming that we're not gonna fill the position.
I don't think we're gonna fill a position in 30 days.
Well, I mean, even if it's not 30 days, I mean, I'm just optimistically speaking, hopefully there'll be somebody in that position, and then if you tap out that line item, you can always request for an increase, just like we did with Kate.
Doug, do you know, when Tom resigned, that Carl had set up something where he could work like 90 hours, 900 hours or something like that? Do you remember something like that going on?
I don't. I mean, I don't off the top of my head, Jeannie. But first of all, I'm very saddened to hear this news. And I want to thank Tammy for all the work she's done for the town. I wish there was some way we could convince you to stay. I'll leave that to the chair to cajole you. But I also know that if just on the money side of it is if the position is vacated, right? And if there's a consultant line is not funded enough, but there's no one in the position, you're having salary dollars sitting there that aren't expended that you probably would have to reallocate to the temporary until the position were to be filled, should Tammy not reconsider her decision to leave.
Okay, so we would take it from the salary
Right.
position. And then when we hired somebody that salary would have to be put back.
Well, it wouldn't go, I mean, let's just say that there's X dollars in your salary line item for the fiscal year. And if Tammy were to leave November, let's say November, right? And you don't fill the position November, December, January, those 3 months of salary dollars are there. So you have those dollars to potentially use for a consultant or alternative method until you hire the person. Then when the person comes on board in February 1st, you begin paying their salary out of that account until then, and then you fund it for the, in the next fiscal year at the town meeting through the budget process.
So essentially,
I
let's
think.
example, Tom came in for 3 months, he would basically be working on what Tammy's salary is now.
From the bucket of dollars, right?
Right,
Well, it depends. He might say, I want X amount of dollars an hour.
that's what
Right.
you negotiate.
Okay, so how quickly can you make the change? Or
I
would
could
you
do
want
that
to add
tomorrow.
and send it to us and we'll post it? Where do you usually post this? Springfield? Doug, Springfield Republican?
I don't know. I believe that the Board of Health is the employer of the Board of Health.
Yeah, we just-
So I don't know. You have to talk to Carl about what the normal course of action was last time. It's not my area that I don't really know.
The papers are usually posted in.
I think the Westfield News, I did the MHOA website
I was just gonna say
and
that, yeah.
It's on, it should be on the town website.
the town.
Absolutely. And maybe even the Beacon.
And are there any health agencies,
Yes,
HOA?
MHOA.
MHOA?
And then there's a couple free ones. Yeah, but I'll look into those. Same ones that I put Kate's position up on. Oh, yeah, all the same, well, except for the Public Health Nurse Network. that'd be different.
And some of those require a fee, right?
Yes. There is a line item that doesn't come out of our account.
Okay. And you post for how long?
Some of them have a time span that they post, and some of them check up with you, and some of them just stay up. Like the MHOA just stays up, I think, until someone is reminded to take it down.
And then HOA, it's a site they go on, or do they also have a hard copy thing that they send out?
No, just online.
All right, so you'll take care of that?
Yep.
Get those posted?
Absolutely.
And how do we have it? The applications will go to. Board of Health, okay, Town Southwick, okay, Board of Health.
It should go, yeah, to our attention.
Yes, Board of Health, Town Southwick,
Mhm,
or via email to Jessica.
right.
What does this mean? The position is open until filled. Of course, it's open until filled.
Well, they're not putting a specific timeline.
What's REH?
Registered environmental health scientist or specialist. In the state of Massachusetts, that's what an RS license is also referred to.
How about a SCE?
I think it's supposed to be a CSE, a certified soil evaluator, but usually it's just SE.
And a SI?
Assistant inspector.
And a CPO?
Certified pool operator. Which I don't really feel should be mandatory if you are an RS and if you've also been to state training, inspection.
Do you think that credential would deter some people from applying?
I don't think it would. It's not hard to get. It's just not, it's not helpful for inspecting schools.
Okay.
So how about changing that word mandatory to preferred?
Actually, if you look at, the recommended, it's recommended under the recommended special knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe just cross that out and keep it in the recommended.
Unless cross out mandatory and then just say present.
Yeah, but I
But
feel like
you
the other
amended
ones are
those.
mandatory.
You want a soil evaluator and a sanitarian, and, I mean, system inspectors. Have to have.
Okay, other thing is, if we should happen to get any applicants, does anybody have a list of the questions? Jess, you have a list of the questions?
I have all that.
On your computer?
Yep.
That we can go through and you have to resubmit to make sure to. Who did you submit, Ashley's questions to, Carl?
To town council.
To town council.
Kimberly Dupree, is her name? Dupree? I have her right now.
Hey Doug, a question for you. If we've, using the same questions that we used when we interviewed Tammy, do they have to go to town council again to be approved?
Can't hurt. And it's labor, it would be labor council, not town council.
Labor council, okay. Okay. So you're gonna post that in a million different places. Jess is gonna find the questions, hopefully,
I have them.
and, and we're gonna talk to Tom. I'll call Tom, talk to Tom.
You gonna call him?
I'll talk to him. And see, what he'd be willing to do for us after November 4th. And if he's willing, and if we don't have anybody by then, you might have to just bring him up to speed as to what's going on.
Is Tom still working in Granville?
Yes,
Thank you.
what were you gonna say?
I'm not sure.
Is this starting salary range? Is that like a competitive salary for your field?
No,
It's higher, right?
I don't think so.
I'm teasing.
Oh,
You can't
okay.
see me with the mask on. But it's a starting salary.
for a health inspector,
With a master's degree.
it's more of a starting salary, less of that for health director.
What exactly is the difference? I'm not really sure. The health director does
Personally?
everything, the inspector does the inspections,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
That's the responsibility of the inspector.
So generally the health director and then health inspectors. With that.
But Tammy did both. Well, do you want to discuss the salary?
I
I
don't,
just want to know if it's competitive. I don't
Well,
know how to.
we asked for a specific salary, and the finance committee and the select board will only give us a certain amount. So we can ask for, 80,000 a year.
Mhm.
Because the health director, inspector, or whoever, actually reports to the Board of Health.
Mhm.
But if the Board of Selectmen say, no, we're only gonna give you 50,000 a year,
Mhm.
the Finance Committee says 50,000, our hands are tied
Right.
financially.
Right.
So we could only give what they allow us to post for. You know, we can ask for the moon, but we'll only get what they give us.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we can't post a job position at a salary that we can't say, yes, this is what we can give you.
Mhm.
So what do you suggest? Let it go like this, or contact the selectmen and finance committee and see how high we can go?
Well, I would probably start by doing like independent research on what actually is like, you know, I wouldn't just make up an arbitrary number and say like, hey, I want that, you know, I just know in the health, or, you know, if I would consider it a healthcare field, especially right now, you're not gonna necessarily have a lot of fresh recruitment at a number that's not competitive, because people are not wanting to do this anymore. It's really hard.
Right.
So maybe we
Okay.
try to post it and then,
So you can do the research and find out what the competitive salaries are, and we have less than 30 days. So we can hold this and wait
No, we can
until,
say-
you know, we have to do something now.
We can say that the annual starting salary range is competitive, comparable, or, you know what I mean? We don't maybe have to put it in.
We don't have to put in a numeric.
I truly wouldn't put a numeric value to it, honestly. I mean, no job I've ever interviewed really has said like, this is what we're gonna pay you until you get to the point of interviewing
That's
and then
right.
you negotiate.
That's right.
Because you know, you want an expectation baseline from your candidate, because every candidate is maybe worth a different amount. I don't know.
We can just say competitive salary. What do you suggest, Tammy, since you're the one that's been out there?
I feel that this is best left up to you guys.
So let's leave that out and just say a competitive salary, and in the meantime, we can see how high, what we can get to work with.
I think maybe that would be the best action.
Competitive and negotiable.
Negotiable sounds good.
That's good verbiage, negotiable.
Because we don't know
Right.
what the competitive salary is, and we
Okay,
don't know
is-
what they're gonna
So
give
we'll
us.
cross that out and put is negotiable depending upon qualifications and experience. Okay, Tammy, got that? Already there. So now what's the procedure for seeing how much we could possibly, how high we could possibly go?
I don't know, Doug,
Yes.
how do we determine how much of a salary we can offer a candidate?
I think the last time if I remember the last time, I think part of the budgeting process was to look at the fee structure within the Board of Health. Yes, there's town, or, you know, town money appropriated through the budget process that are above and beyond the fee structure, but you need to look at one of the things the Board of Health did last time, I think, was look at the fee structure, and were the fees covering some of the costs of the health agent, I think, and where those played in. You know, I hear what you're saying, and yeah, it is part of the budget process, but there was consideration around that as part of the salary structure for the health agent. Obviously, the health agent does more than septic, we get it, and there's other stuff beyond the permitted stuff, you know, besides, you know, inspections and so on and so forth, but especially, you know, proven out the last year and a half or so, right? but that's a good discussion to have.
And who do we have it with?
I mean, it would probably be either the select board, and I would reach out to the chair and have that discussion first to see what he would recommend as the right direction. And, you know, and obviously the finance committee comes into play, and you've got a ton of experience there on that finance committee. You know, at least one member of the finance committee was a former Board of Health commissioner. So, you know, they've got some experience in that space. And
Who
you
is the
could read,
chairman of the select board?
chairman of the select board is Mr. Didi. I am but the clerk.
Clerk, well, our minute says you're the chair. We promoted you.
Yeah,
It cycled, I heard at the beginning, and it wasn't time for public comments, and I didn't want to overstep the protocol, but it rotates generally generally every 3 years, right? You're the clerk, then you're the vice, then you're the chair. It's not always, but that's the general way it goes. This year, it's Mr. Didi.
I'll talk to Mr. Didi. In the meantime, do you want to do some kind of search, or Jessica do some kind of search to see?
I mean, yes,
health directors?
absolutely. I wouldn't feel comfortable posting a salary that wasn't fair, and I mean, I don't want to offend you, because you're, you know, but I just see very little of what you do, and it's a lot from what I see at these meetings, and like, I don't think that that's where it should be, but I would like to, because right now you're gonna post a position where people are leaving this field, don't want to do this work because of how horrendous the last year and a half has been, and then you're gonna say, oh yeah, you know, this is all we can get you. We could at least try to advocate for something more, and if we get shot down, then that's, you know, too bad for us, but I mean, try based on like evidence-based, you know, what everybody else is getting. Right?
Jess, when we were looking for somebody to replace Tom, were you involved in?
I do remember doing a little bit of research, and there wasn't much out there.
Other than calling the different towns and asking, or getting their financial, their town reports and looking at it.
Right. There wasn't much posted there. There wasn't much.
Town reports are all online now, pretty much, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, why are we worried that we're not gonna get applicants? I don't know, because I wasn't here during the last process.
We were very fortunate the last process. We got 3 applicants, 3 excellent applicants. But it's been how many years? 3 years? 2 years now. And healthcare has changed.
It's horrifying, I know, because I do it. And sometimes I don't want.
And salaries are going up at the hospital. And nurses are leaving to do travel.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of changes going on. All right, so you'll look into something just to see if we get some.
Yeah, no, I will.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think that we should post this immediately, absolutely.
Yep.
But maybe omit that number.
Yeah.
We already did.
Yeah, perfect,
Perfect.
negotiable.
Do you want me to hurry up and go ahead with the changes, or do you guys want to look at those changes quickly?
Why don't you tell us what the changes are, and
Um,
then you can.
changing that part of the negotiable part. Just the few things we had said about the mandatory credentials on the ad part, that is.
Mhm.
And then adding in a quick blurb about
Shared health.
the shared public health nurse.
And that would be under essential duties and responsibilities.
Yeah, the same place where we have, it could be under supervision also, because it's clerical staff, part-time nurse, subcontract inspector.
Okay, and this position supervises the sign code and stuff, probably not there. All right, so are we all set with this? So Tammy will go ahead and post it in a million places. All right. No other questions on that? All right, the shared public health nurse.
So to tie into this previous conversation, the grant has additional admin funding to cover any additional admin that's needed for the program. I can continue that until whoever is on board with this position is comfortable with it, because there is quite a bit that has to be done in the next 2 months for the program. And if everybody's amenable to it, you know, I can continue that program until we get somebody.
My concern is just the gap.
But you would fill the gap.
I would
That's what
fill
you're
that
saying,
gap.
right?
Because we have funding for that gap.
So they would reimburse you for you filling that gap.
Yeah.
If you are, yeah, agreeable to that, that would be, I think, great, in my opinion.
Okay. What do you think?
Who hires this health nurse?
For the 2 nurses,
No, the nurse and a half.
which is 2 people.
So are you going to ask for some kind of compensation for your,
There is compensation
Involvement.
built into the grant for any additional hours that are needed for it.
so the town of Southwick gets the grant monies and then they have to pay you to finish this?
Which I would have been, if I had to do these things after extra hours, I would have been looking to be compensated for it. Since it's outside of my regular duties.
Okay, so what point are we at?
We don't have the contract yet. I've been kind of harping them for the last week, and they just keep saying that they're almost ready to print it up. So hopefully in the next week we'll get it, because the date for the tentative draft plan for it, the draft plan is next week, and then the final plan is November 15th. So I kind of, you know, to keep going, it'd be great to have our funding so that we could start putting out the job descriptions and things like that to start hiring. So
Can you work on the job descriptions now? Or do
I
we
ha-
have job descriptions?
I have been, and I have a
This is
sort
a-
of tentative job description. It's a little too detailed. Like, I've added a ton of stuff in it to start cutting off. In the meantime. But it just kind of covers almost everything that you could possibly think of that they could potentially be used for. So,
That needs to go to town's labor council.
and also, so part of our meetings with the other 6 towns is, you know, they want to get a look at it and see if this is what they need in their towns as well, because it's sort of driven by what's needed in the different communities. So far, I haven't had an input from them yet, even I did send it out to them, but I haven't had input from them yet.
So could these nurses be paid a salary or paid based on what they do?
They would be paid salaries.
And what are the ballpark?
The ballpark, we have, for 1.5 people, we have $105,000 to play with.
For the full-time nurse?
1 full-time and a part-time.
So you have 105 to,
I think that's good.
for both. I don't know, what are they getting now? The nurses about 80,000 if they travel?
If they travel, a lot more than that, but it's for a full-time and a part-time with 105. For a public health nurse, it's right around where it should be.
It's very,
You're gonna
yeah.
split that, right? It's gonna be 100, you gotta.
So
split
you
between
do-
the two.
70, 35, that's,
The, speaking to the program manager, those are his recommendations.
especially it's a lot of remote work and it's like in a hospital, you probably more, you know.
And how does it work insurance?
They would be town employees.
Oh, and that's also huge. That plays a huge part into the salary because that's competitive salary with town benefits.
Yeah, but they don't get free town benefits.
No, but it's
What,
a huge factor comparatively to like my hospital, benefits are not as great as you would think for nurses.
well, the benefits here aren't that great either.
Okay, but
You're
is there
not,
something-
yeah. They're paying 50%.
Okay, so before you can do anything, you have to get the
So-
contract. And then all the other surrounding towns have to look at the contract.
They just have to give letters of commitment. They don't sign it.
Okay,
Because technically, their letters of commitment say that Southwick will run the program.
okay. Do you have to run this by them all?
Yes.
Okay. Is this something you can do ahead of time?
Like I said, I have said this to them and I had no comment so far.
Okay.
And this is by no means a final. It's
Okay,
just what I've been working on.
then can I suggest you send this to them? Tell them your last day at Town of Southwick is November 4th, and you have to have this by, and pick a date, October 13th. Unless, and it may, change the qualifications of this grant. If they can't put the effort in a timely manner to get it done, then you can't keep begging them and babysitting them. So I suggest you put a definite date timeline.
And you're right on the nail. It is October 15th, or at least our draft plan to have job descriptions in.
All right,
So
so
this is what
we can't post this until we have a contract.
I wouldn't want to post it until we have a contract.
And you may not get the contract for,
Hopefully,
November.
I mean, I'm assuming I'm not getting it tomorrow. I mean, it'd be great if I did. But hopefully the next week, because I know people who've already signed theirs, so. Just curious what's different between ours and theirs.
and where does the money go to? Is the money all one lump sum or what? You know,
I don't know
distributed?
exactly how it works, because I've been sort of working back and forth with Carl on how he takes it, because then they're for specific, there's specific, so there's, staffing, and then there's supplies, and there's to cover phone, to cover laptop.
Is that all in the 105 or
No,
That's
it's
additional?
179.
196, I thought.
And
Yeah.
what portion of that would be yours?
Whatever hours I work. At
And when?
10,000, I budgeted 10,000 for any additional overhead that we need.
So you would justify your hours how?
By any additional hours over normal that I would have to use,
All right,
based off of how all the other towns who did the same shared services grant did it.
okay, then if you're no longer working for the town, you'd still cover doing this.
Yeah, I would just submit in for the work.
So you have to submit it to us then, right? Approval to submit.
Yeah, whoever's going to be signing off on them.
All right.
If there's, depending on if there's a health director yet, or if there isn't.
Okay, so we get this out. How many more meetings do we have in October?
One,
That's it?
yep.
We get this out, we get a bunch of applicants next week and we do interviews the following week.
What planet you living on? Good luck with that one, Sue.
The thing is, I would like Tammy to be like Tom was. I'd like Tammy to be at the interviews so she can answer more questions than we can answer.
Well,
The day.
the alternative is to actually have Tom. If he's willing,
That's true, okay.
so. If we can utilize him as much as he would be willing to
Sit
to
in.
give, yeah.
Okay.
So, why have Tammy sit in on interviews that no longer is going to, affect her position.
Right, but it was just nice that Tom was there the first week to show Tammy the things that were going on.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. Okay,
Yeah.
so interviews, next meeting. Schedule 45 minutes apart.
Jess, if you do get some email to you, can you please forward them to us as
Oh.
soon as you get them, okay?
Of
So we
course.
can look at them, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
How many other health positions are out there? Do you know that are open?
If you go on the Mass Health Officers site, there's several pages worth of that in the state.
In the state? How about in this area?
There's quite a, not a lot, but there's a lot of open public health nurse positions, but they're very small. So they don't look competitive like a part-time with benefits does. So I think that's the difference with having the shared services grant, that we can add that into it so that we can get people who maybe, maybe don't feel like working.
We're gonna get people who want to leave the bedside, who are like, I've had enough of this, and I think those positions will be able to fill. I don't know about the whole health director fields, I don't know about that at all, but I think at least those 1.5 nurses we can
Find somebody?
because everybody's, they're ready to get out of the hospitals.
Yeah. I'm leaving. Health directors, are there any empty positions other than Southwick in this area? You know,
There are some that are like temporarily filled right now. And in this area, in Hampton County. No, in Hampshire County, there's a few that aren't filled. I don't really know much about the Berkshires.
okay, any more discussion on this? You got a plan?
Yeah.
I'll talk to Tom. Or we could, should we invite him to a meeting?
there's not gonna be another one soon enough. I think the discussion with Tom is gotta be tomorrow. Or tonight. You know what I mean?
Right, now I can call him and ask him, but then do we want to have him come and have a discussion as to what he'd be willing to cover, what he would want for a wait, hourly?
Yeah, well, that needs to be formal somehow.
Yeah, so we need to have him come to a meeting.
So next meeting is gonna
We can always meet next week.
Just with Tom, consider it a work session.
Yeah, we could do that. I can see if he's available next Thursday,
Well, so you just gotta see if he's interested.
if he's
first.
interested.
That's, it. And if he's interested, then we can go from there.
All right, if he's,
Okay.
if he's interested, do we want to meet with him next Thursday?
I can't, I have another meeting.
All right, if he's interested, I will ask him when would be a good time that he could meet with the board. If he can give me a few days, and I can. Can I ask, is it legal to do that? To ask you if those days are good for you? Because then-
Oh, yeah.
Is that
As
legal?
long as it's nothing, it's information.
Okay,
It's not subject to be voted or
okay, so Thursday's not good for you.
no. Wednesday, I have meetings Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay. What's your schedule? Mackenzie?
Tuesday night, I teach the kids at the college. Monday, I work, but I could do Monday night. Can't do Tuesday night.
Monday's a holiday.
The Monday's closed. All right, so we can't do anything next week.
Do you want me to find out like what is required for you to come up with a an amount to pay the consultant, or if he could just say, this is what I'd like, and because that's kind of how most of everything that comes through our department is, this is what I charge, and this is the bill.
Well, we had to pay him when he stayed on.
But because he was still an employee for so many weeks, as I understood. And he stayed on for 2 days.
I mean, you could, but most likely, if we're in a desperate situation, he's gonna name a price and
Again, we don't control the purse strings. We can say, I'd love to hire you for $100 an hour. But the select board and the finance committee are going to say, we can only pay him $10 an hour. So it's not up to us.
I know what we're gonna say is then, well, they better sign up for registered sanitarian classes.
Yeah,
and
But
Restaurant classes.
it just happened with somebody else in one of my committees. So we don't have the money. They do.
Okay. We'll find out if Tom's willing and they'll just invite him to our next.
Right.
meeting With the, with all the interviews. Be optimistic.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more shared public health nurse discussion?
Nothing new. We did have a meeting last week, but it wasn't a one-on-one. It was just with all of the grantees, and they just were kind of going through the timeline and the templates for the reports that have to be brought in.
Andrea, can you hear?
I can hear everyone but Tana.
You want to move up more? No? You want to move up to another seat? Yeah, so nothing more on that then.
Yeah, that's that, and so the drafts have to be finished by October 15th.
All right, your report then.
Protests at, they're just repairs, 46 South Loomis and 15 Patriots Way. Final septic inspections, repairs at 95 Powder Mill Road, 81 Bell Long Yard, and 98 Sheep Pasture, and one final that was new at 12 State Ave. Plans approved for 98 Sheep Pasture and 234 Hillside Road, which were repairs, and 2 new, 100 Honeybird Run and 2 Honeybird Run.
Is that the golf course?
The greens. East. Yeah. We just had our Hampton County Health Coalition meeting today, and 3 people showed up. So it wasn't very exciting. Had the Public Health Excellence Grant meeting, and
These Zoom meetings are in person?
there's, I think everything has been Zoom, except for probably the Western Mass Public Health Officers Association. And everybody sort of sits at the table kind of like this. But I mean, you know that everybody's gotten vaccinated. So Wednesday, we were scheduled to have the flu clinic, and luckily somebody was picking up something downstairs at the Council on Aging, and they said, oh, hey, we were at CVS, and they said they didn't have senior doses available. So I had called, this was on Tuesday, I had called, and sure enough, they didn't have senior doses. So it is now rescheduled for Monday, October 18th, same time, 9 to noon, downstairs, if the weather's good, in the tents, if not in the Council on Aging.
So who did they call? Did they call
The
the
Council
schedule?
on Aging. You don't have to, but it helps just so that they that CBS knows how many. We had 97 people signed up. But luckily, when anybody calls the Council on Aging, they usually get asked, if they aren't, like, are you a member and are you on our list? And if they're not, they usually get on. So a good portion of those 97 people were able to get contacted through their robocall system. Yeah, which is great. Like they are good at making sure that everybody's on that who needs those services. So that was the upside of it.
So what's the time? 2 to 4?
9 to noon.
9 to noon.
9 to So, as COVID cases have gone, like Ashley feels like it's a little, although the cases have sort of evened out, I think the contacts that go with it we're having less contact tracing that are needed, which is good. So right now, we currently have 19 cases in isolation, which is pretty similar to what we've had the last reporting period. Well, the last time we had a meeting. For this particular reporting period, which was the last 2 weeks, there was 24 cases. But our test numbers went up from 500 something to 734 in that period, which I guess is a good thing that people are actually going out and getting tested from. But of those 19, 7 of those cases reported being vaccinated, which has been similar to the week before, I think. But those are if they were reported. Our vaccination rate seems to just kind of slowly move
It's
up.
about 40%, isn't it?
54% fully vaccinated.
It's 3 more percent than last time.
No. People that were vaccinated and came down with COVID.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that's not good.
But that doesn't mean. Also, whether or not they were symptomatic, if they tested because somebody else in their household had it and they tested positive. I don't think I think at least we know that these people they're getting out of isolation at some point, which is great. And we're seeing of those 19 people, there's multiples in households. So it's not kind of all over, but
How many hospitalized?
I don't know. But this period, I think of the 19, 3 were children. And the last period we had more children, I think.
Yeah.
Is
It was
that-
like 7.
The number, what?
It was like 7.
Yeah, the numbers kind of went down. But we also, there might be more cases in the schools because it's a larger school district. And we have also people from outside of town. So it's like, you might see more when the weekly email comes out from the school district. But that's because they don't live here necessarily.
So how do they handle it if there's a positive in the classroom?
So they're really good at determining who are the contacts and, whether or not those kids should do the test and stay or actually considered contacts for quarantine.
And they're doing the test right there?
The nurse does that.
Is it for 3 days?
I think that's how they do it for 3 days after that. I just received the formal letter of how they're doing it the other day after our meeting, because we never talked about it again. But tomorrow I'm meeting with the school city public safety committee just to kind of talk about how things are going and everything. We can, like the last period, I think we had a couple like daycare related contact tracing needs, but that seems to kind of resolve itself. And as speaking of contact tracing, so the contact tracing collaborative now has again officially given a last day for reporting cases as November 30th, and that their official closing date will be December 31st, with the local health liaisons available till that date. So say we did have something big happen at the the school or a daycare, the local health liaisons can help us with the contact tracing. It just wouldn't be that we're like putting extra cases on them, basically. But I mean, it's nice, it would be nice to see that with the ramp down in services from them, that we have the numbers go down too. So, which would be great. What's that? And because every sort of area gets this a local health liaison, and they've been very helpful. We've only had, like, they've only changed once since the beginning of the pandemic, since the contact tracing collaborative. So they know who to talk to. They know me, they know our nurse, they know Marcia, when I work at the school. So when they start getting larger numbers, they can just say, hey, do you know what's going on? And it helps that they put a face to the contact tracing collaborative, because at one point there was like 800 people working there. And I think, just a follow-up would not have worked well, but that definitely has been like an upside to what they provided with that service. Maybe there's sometimes a delay in how fast that they pick up cases if they're overloaded, but having that extra support, I think, has really helped out. I think that's the end of my just kind of regular stuff. They're talking about maybe next month having a little bit better decision about whether or not the Pfizer would be approved for the 5 to 12 group or 5 to 11 group. Right now, the state is just kind of ramping up by sending surveys out, survey after survey. What resources do you have? What need do you have? So that would be something we'll talk about tomorrow with the school safety committee. Just to, we had a really good turnout when we did with the kids, was it in June and July? So, I mean, I know it's something that I personally can't wait to be available to that age range for my family, but I guess it's all about, if the need is there, will we do something here? And that is that.
Okay, any old business you want to talk about?
We do have old business. Right after the last meeting, I touched back with Dick Reynolds about the Lake Management Committee, and he put me in touch with Michelle Pratt, who's also on it. And one of the things that they suggested is a letter of support might help when they go to try to renegotiate that land for putting the porta potties on it. So a letter of support from the Board of Health might help when they do. when they do
Addressed to who?
to Lake Management Committee.
Now you walked the property?
Oh, yes, more than
And
once.
Mackenzie, you walked it?
Yeah.
Jean, have you?
Yes.
And
I mean, not the full province, like hundreds of acres, but yes, where the complaints formulate from.
But you have to petition the Fish and Wildlife.
that's why they're saying to write a letter to like management, and like management will petition whoever.
So if you want, I can draft up
Yes, please.
something based off of all of the conversations I've had with them over, and the gentleman who called or
Yes.
emailed. It's pretty much, I think I've already really wrote into most of the emails what it is that we think we would want out of the sea in that area, so. it
Yes, if
wouldn't
you
be-
would do that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a big thing to do. And they've, I know they've already done legwork with Ricky's porta potties. Who kind of made suggestions about how to have a safe porta potty in that area. So they've done a lot of their research on that anyway. So it's just guiding over that legality and be able to put it there.
And did you hear anything from the Browns about their mobile food unit at their disc golf place? Nothing there.
Nothing. I don't think it's purchased anything. So.
Any other old business? Then Andrea's gonna give us look up the act. And, any new business other than what we discussed today? Anything you want to bring up? Danny? All right, so the next scheduled meeting is October 21st. Unless we decide to meet before that. In agreement? Sure. Are we ready to, oh. Any comment, Doug or Peter?
Do you have any feedback on the hybrid Zoom piece? Obviously, typical attendance for a Board of Health meeting throughout the pandemic and everything else, but do you feel it impinged on your meeting at all, or was helpful or not helpful, or?
But it was helpful to have you there to ask questions every now and then. Get some answers.
Thank you. I mean, so I wanted to thank you all for going through the experiment and giving it a ride. I hope you'll continue to do it. But any and all feedback is welcome. By the way, I like the laptop stand. That's a great approach to do it till we get the television piece set up over there.
Whose laptop is this?
The town.
Okay. And Doug, did you have any discussion about posting hybrid and then having all Zoom?
In regards to,
Remember we talked last night when if you post a meeting?
oh no, I didn't have a chance to frame that up yet, Jeannie. I figured I'd bring that up under old business with the Board of Selectmen at next meeting. I'll send a note off to get hopefully some answers when we bring it up under old business.
Okay, so it'll be on the select board's agenda for your next meeting?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and we may have to check with council as to how that would apply. So just for
Right.
context, say you have a posted hybrid meeting. If there's a weather event and town hall's closed, would they close the town hall, and then would you have to postpone your meeting even though everyone could still join by Zoom, but town hall's closed? So we have to talk that through. And I hadn't thought of that scenario. So it's a good one to contemplate and get, some opinion back on that.
Okay, when you find out, just let us know, please.
Yep. And Tammy, thank you for chasing down the rogue owl this afternoon. Appreciate it.
They thought I was a burglar down in the AV room. There's nobody around. I'm like, I'm just looking for an owl. And then I found two, but they maybe little stickers. I can make some little stickers to.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We numbered them 1 to 3, so internally we know which is which, and that they're all set up now. We won't have a debacle like we had Monday night when they took a brand new one out of the box, and it doesn't work straight out of the box. You have to set it up. But I know
Oh.
now that all 3 are ready to go, so it really doesn't matter. But we should label them off. You're right.
All that I did, because this laptop was already set up for Zoom, was plug it in here. And then you start your Zoom and making sure that your video is on, obviously. And it hoots and it's on. You don't have to touch anything.
Do you know how to set up a Zoom meeting? Hey, Doug, we may have to set Jessica up.
Yeah,
Is
she
it-
used to be, but she never really utilized the Zoom. So we will, Jessica, if you can get with me next week sometime, we can just on the phone, I can get you set up and walk you through it. How'd you do it?
Okay.
Well, I'll be happy to show her here when I'm in town hall with her.
Fantastic. But right now we're out of licenses. I may be able to, I think I know where I can get one. But-
So Jessica no longer has a license?
I don't think so right now,
Okay.
but I can assign it. No problem.
Where is this kept? Right here?
No, this is kept in my office.
Okay,
Like, this is the one I use for Zoom meetings.
and where does the owl go?
That
Is
will
that
go
kept?
back downstairs in the AV room.
So they're not kept in the rooms that there's meetings in.
Our plan is to distribute them ahead of a meeting so that it's there. And like I said, when we spoke last week or 2 weeks ago, is eventually we're gonna have kind of like a little go box of a laptop plus the owl in a box. You open the box, you take everything out, you plug it in, and there'll be a cable right on the table there. Plug it in, it'll display to the television, which will be on the wall to your right, which isn't there yet, and then you're ready to go.
All right. Hey, Peter, do you have any questions?
Because,
None at this time, thank you.
Andrea?
No, but I would like to say I signed up for my flu shot and it was a great experience. They logged me in at the senior center. I am logged in. They called me right away when they had to change it. It was.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good. I know, I felt, as soon as I had to give that information, I was like, you're gonna get a lot of phone calls. I offered to do some of them, but they said, nope, we'll get all the phone calls and make sure everybody is all set.
They did a great job.
So we'll see you on Monday, hopefully.
All right,
nothing further. I make a motion at 8:20 to adjourn the meeting.
a second.
Roll call vote.
Kenzie, yes.
Jean, yes.
Sue, yes.
Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night.